If you started your web design business for freedom and flexibility, but now you're feeling like you're just going through the motions, another challenging client, another late night, and you're left wondering if this is really what you signed up for. You're getting bigger and better clients, but instead of excitement, you're constantly on edge. You're profitable, sure, but at what cost? If that sounds like you, it's time for a change. If you're ready to take your web design business to the next level without sacrificing your sanity, join me for a private training designed just for advanced women web design business owners like you. To request a complimentary spot in this exclusive training, all you need to do is go to webdesigneracademy.com/next and fill out a super quick application. If you qualify, I'll send you an invitation. It's that simple. So just go to webdesigneracademy.com/next to request your invitation. Welcome to The Profitable Web Designer, a podcast for web designers who want to work less and make more money. I'm your host, Shannon Mattern, founder of the Web Designer Academy, where we've helped hundreds of web designers stop undercharging, overworking, and create profitable, sustainable web design businesses. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Profitable Web Designer podcast. Today's episode is my March 2025 income report, and I'm joined by my sidekick, Erica Nash. She is our client success coordinator at the Web Designer Academy and my co-host for income reports. We tried it out last month and it was so fun that I'm like, this is the only way I ever want to do income reports from now on. So Erica, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So Erica has some questions prepared for me to take us through the March 2025 income report. So yeah, Erica, let's just start at the top and we'll get into it, and whatever comes up, comes up.
Let's dive right in. All right. So the question that everybody's always curious about, how much was the total inflow for March of 2025 and where did it come from?
Yeah, so the total inflow for March was $32,826.09, and $22,631 of that came from Simply Profitable Designer Summit ticket upgrades. So that's a free event that we put on, but we also give people the opportunity to upgrade their ticket. And we had $22,631 worth of ticket upgrades. And those were like $97 a pop for those. And then $10,195.09 of that is from Web Designer Academy, like payment plans, Next Level Mastermind payment plans, and our Marketing Momentum membership. So just recurring revenue payments from our students on those things. So yeah, that was our inflow in March.
Amazing. So where did it go? What was the outflow?
The outflow was $31,429.13. And so of that, $6,948.10 were commissions back to our speakers for the Simply Profitable Designer Summit. So the way that works is I invite like 30 of my friends to come and present. And if they weren't my friend before, they're for sure my friend after. And they get an affiliate link to promote our summit to their audience. They're speaking, they're doing a presentation, they're inviting their audience. They get an affiliate link and they get either 40 or 50% commission, depending on if they contributed a bonus to that upgraded ticket. So then I pay out 40 to 50% of commissions, like of the ticket sales, to attendees who were brought in by our speakers. And then $7,463.10 went to the previous owner of the summit, because her name's Krista Miller. She founded the Simply Profitable Designer Summit 9 years ago or whatever. I acquired it from her 3 years ago. And our deal is that I pay her 50% of the profit after the event is done. So we had all of the ticket sales, all of our sponsorships, all of the things that made up the total income for the event. In last year we started getting sponsorship dollars coming in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the way through like all of the ticket sales minus all of our expenses. So paying for the support to like build out the summit site this year. So I didn't have to do it. Like there's a lot of expenses related to the summit, paying out those affiliate commissions, all of those things. And then after that, what's left, it was about $15,000 in profit. And I split that with her. So that $7,463 went right back out the door to Krista. And then our outflow for the Web Designer Academy, just our normal operating expenses, $17,017.93. And that includes my paycheck and your paycheck, plus all of our software tools, everything that we use to run the business, insurance, taxes, payroll, bookkeeping, like all of that stuff. Plus, we spend a lot on marketing. So, like podcast production, conversion rate optimization. So, how are we? And that's just conversion rate optimization seems like, I don't know. It's so much more than that. It's strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically strategy, plus our rebrand project that you and I are working on, repaying my line of credit or just paying interest on the line of credit, like all of those little things. So that's $17,017.93. So we added $1,396.96 to our reserve. So we basically broke even in March.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the important things that happened in March. You talked about the summit, which is obviously a huge thing. Like we start preparing for that in November of the previous year. So it's big. And you talked about the rebrand. I know there's been other things going on. So what were some of the important things that happened in the month of March?
Yeah. So aside from the Simply Profitable Designer Summit, we did a Web Designer Academy open enrollment promotion. So I think the summit was like March 17th through the 21st. And then on March 22nd, I invited everybody to come to our Profitable Web Design Business Roadmap training. And that was the first time I ever invited people to join the Web Designer Academy without an application. So that was a big thing that happened. Just running the summit with help, that was a big thing that happened.
Yeah.
More than normal, right? More than last year. Because you always do a lot of summit preparation, but leading up to it, I paid for a lot more help, right? We moved our Web Designer Academy community to Circle off of Facebook. I think that happened in March.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure. It's all running together. But yeah, I think the summit and the shift of this test of enrolling in the Web Designer Academy without an application were the two biggest things. And then we did some testing and just different things and kind of made some decisions around the Web Designer Academy that I had been going back and forth on for a long time, nailed some of those down. So yeah, that's kind of the high level overview. So where do you want to start? Where do you want to dig into that?
Well, I just wanted to I know that you've talked about this some, or at least I feel like you have on the podcast, but I want people to know what a big deal it is that you got help on the summit and that you are freeing yourself up for more help and asking for more help and allowing yourself to accept that. And I don't know, maybe we even talk a little bit about the Next Level Domino and that kind of stuff, because that is the work. I was actually talking to my husband about this yesterday and about how just transformative the Next Level retreat was and like the work that we did there, and how like he was even recognizing just like how I think about money differently and about investments differently. And it doesn't quite take up quite so much of my emotional energy. And I think that that is an important piece of this conversation. And maybe we talk a little bit about that as well.
I totally agree with you that it is a huge part of this conversation. And so, for those of you who maybe are new listeners, like maybe you're coming from the Simply Profitable Designer Summit, having been introduced to this podcast for the first time. So, hello, if that's you, welcome. Like, we're thrilled to have you here. But we do a couple of different things here at the Web Designer Academy. One of them is our core Web Designer Academy program, and that is strategy, right? It's packaging strategy, pricing, sales. It's a lot of strategy. Yes, there's mindset stuff in there, like what stops you from implementing the strategy. And you can go really far with a lot of the stuff in the Web Designer Academy. And then we have what's called the Next Level Mastermind, because what we know is that like the best way to describe it is like new levels, same devils, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get to a point in your business, and I've gotten to a point in my business where the other way to say this is like how you do anything is how you do everything. So because the way my life is structured, I don't have children and I don't have a day job. I have a whole lot of autonomy and control over how I run my day, and I have a lot of time. And because I have a lot of time, I can take on a lot of responsibility and a lot of work and a lot of tasks and a lot of things. And that's how I've been able to like grow my business the way that I have, is because I'm like, everybody get out of my way. If I want it done, it's going to get done. It's like, I just don't have a whole lot of, me not having time is like usually never an excuse for me, like getting something done. I might feel busy, I might feel overwhelmed, but it's always going to get done. And so what we do in Next Level Mastermind is figure out like, well, where do you get in your own way in a way that's like very self-protective? Like you wouldn't even see that it's a thing that's getting in your own way because it looks on the surface like, I don't know, like a good thing or a positive thing or something like that. So like my drive could be seen as like a positive quality, but it's actually the thing that really gets in the way of my next level. That's one way to look at it. There's many layers to this onion. And what we do is we go through a process to figure out like, okay, where do you have your foot on the gas and where do you have your foot on the brake at the same time? And for me, we uncovered that it is scary for me to ask for help, not because I'm afraid somebody won't do it right, but because I would need to give feedback. And that feels scary because I'm afraid of damaging my relationship with people if I tell them that I don't like something or I want something changed. And therefore, that might hurt their feelings and cause harm to our relationship. So it's safer for me to just do everything myself. So I know that was like a very long way to get to like that thing. But it's like, oh, on the surface, it looks like you're so driven and you can get a lot done and you have all this time freedom. But on the flip side, it's like, because I'm afraid of losing relationships with people I care about. So therefore, I would rather work really, really hard than say, I don't really like the way that design looks. Can we make some changes? And it seems so bananas, but that's the way we get in our own way. So all of that to say, at our Next Level retreat in November, that was uncovered for me. Erica had her own next level that was uncovered for her. Feel free to chat about it if you want. But then we go through a process to deconstruct it and to create safety around the thing that we're most afraid of. And so I have had to go through a process to create safety around being able to give feedback so that I can ask for help because if I don't feel safe to give feedback, what I end up doing is just taking it over and taking it across the finish line. And that keeps me stuck exactly where I am, overworking without capacity to grow. And I was like reading my income report from after the summit last year. And I was reading the transcript and I'm like, oh, yep, that's exactly what I noticed last year is that like I had asked for more help last year, but not enough. And by the end, I was so exhausted and so tired. I think I even got sick afterwards. I was maybe sick before, during, and after. And it affected, like, it delayed a lot of all of me spending all my time there, delayed a lot of our results last year. So this year was totally different. I asked for help. I paid for help. I gave feedback. Like, I still worry that people aren't going to like me, but I also know I'm like approaching it with integrity. So I still push myself to give it. And I did overwork a little bit. There are places where I saw that I could have asked for more help that I've noted for next year. And the goal would be to like really remove myself from as much as possible, except the being there at the event in 2026. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that. But just even asking for help has been huge. I don't think, Erica, if not for the next level mastermind retreat where I uncovered that domino, we wouldn't be doing this rebrand project.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I think, well, we've been having this retreat for, I think last year was our third year. Is that right?
Yep.
And every year has been really powerful. And I think I can speak for everyone in saying that. But personally, for me, it has been really powerful. But there was something about last year's retreat. I don't know exactly what it was, but I felt like it was truly like I literally came home a different person. And I don't know, there was just something really special about it. So I love that you were able to like so quickly implement the transformation, if that makes sense. Like you were so quickly able to turn it around because that was in November. We were just starting to prep for the summit. And then, I mean, when we come back in January, we are hitting the ground running. I mean, we are like pedal to the metal, just like going full force, getting ready for it. And so you had to have a plan on like how you were getting help. You had to already have help sort of enrolled at that point. So you were able to turn that around really quickly. And I think that that really speaks to the level of transformation that happened while we were there. So I love that.
I wish I could be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what happens because I run this retreat. I facilitate it. Like I put this experience together and I should be able to like say, oh yeah, this is exactly what, why it works. And I think it works, it being like a really big shift out of old ways of operating and old self-protective mechanisms into really feeling safer to take new actions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a blend of a lot of things that happen. And if you're interested in learning more about Next Level, please go check it out, webdesigneracademy.com/next. And all the retreat details are there too. I think at the time that this episode comes out, there still are a few days to get your application in to attend the Next Level training that we're doing. And if you listen to this after, you can still fill out that application. But I think it is just this unique blend of, there's a very intentional arc that I take all of us through that's designed to just really show you how powerful you are. But I don't know. We had hypnosis this year. I don't know if that was it. I don't know if it was just like, there's always magic from people in the room. I don't know if it's because there are so many people that have been there 3 years in a row, but there were people that walked in for the first time
Mm-hmm.
that year, like even late, because she couldn't get a flight, and she came like halfway through the second day and still had the same impact. So yeah, it's a thing. Like it's for people who I don't know, like I get in my own way. I know I get in my own way all the time. I look at these numbers, the 32,286 and the 31,429, and I'm like, I'm spending exactly how much I'm making. And while I love that I am adding to my reserves, but I'm like, we're breaking even. That's a next level problem. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there is a world in which I get to make more than I spend. And I don't think it's a math problem. I think there is something happening in me that is preventing myself from like making more, or that I'm spending what I'm bringing in. So I don't know what that looks like, but I'm super curious to explore that, because why am I not allowing myself to add more to my reserve and then keep it there? Like, what's going on there? I don't know the answer to that.
What a fascinating question to dig into, though. That's so good.
So it's like not a problem. And I guess I should, I was just about to like catch myself and be like, I'm not complaining. And maybe that thought of I'm not complaining is a clue to what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, well, it's good enough, but it's not where we want to be. It's not like I'm not in this really healthy cash position in the business that I would want to be in. And we're doing things. I'm opening up new markets. I'm testing a lot of things. We'll talk about those in the April income report, April and May, and going forward. I'm pulling a lot of different levers outside of Web Designer Academy to explore that. But there's something there, and I don't know what it is yet.
Yet. You'll figure it
Yeah.
out, though, for sure. And I also, it's interesting that I'm going to talk a little bit about next level again, that this has been the theme of the conversation. But yesterday, so for those, nobody probably knows this, but I used to be a teacher. And so yesterday, my husband is still a teacher, and he was asking me, do you miss, like, is there anything you miss about being a teacher? And my immediate answer was no. And he kind of laughed. And he's like, that was really quick. And I had to back up and tell him, like I loved being a teacher, but, it took a lot from me. And I said, if there are days with the kids that I missed, we had some fun days and like laughing together and like inside jokes and stuff like that. Like the community of the classroom can be really cool. And then I said, if anything else, maybe like just the community of being a teacher. And he kind of nodded his head. And I was like, but I can't say that I necessarily miss that, because I have a community of business owners. I have a community of people that are just like incredible. And all of our conversations are about, how do we make this life better? How do we expand? How do we grow personally? How do we break past these things that are like standing in our way? It's all about personal development, professional development, really just like love for each other. And so that community is so powerful. And I think that that is also, like you talked about, I don't know if it was the things that we went through, like, the arc that you take us through, if it was the people, if it was the hypnosis. I think it was a combination of everything. But I think the people, like it could not happen. Those transformations could not happen without the people. And it's just like so, truly so beautiful. And I think that, like you just talking about those things, like we have to surround ourselves with people who get it, to help us like get to that next level and get out of our way and help us identify those things. And like that yet piece comes along with the input of other people.
Yeah. Cause I'm not going to be able to see it. Like someone else
Mm-hmm.
is going to show me what that is. I just have to say, hey, I think I'm getting in my way in this way. And then when I'm in a room of trusted people, someone will be like, oh, you said something really interesting that made me think of when you said that you
Yeah.
think that you're spending as much as you're making. and you don't know why. And then you just said something that tied that back together for me and reflect that back to me so that I could see what I can't see. I think this is the perfect segue, though, when you're talking about community, to talk about like this whole drama I had in my mind about like, is the Web Designer Academy like this whole like removing the application? I was playing around with some different ideas about like the structure of the program. I think like this community conversation is the perfect segue to kind of talk about some of those decisions.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we have been wanting to do is take down a lot of the walls and barriers and deconstruct the American Ninja Warrior obstacle course of a customer journey that I had intentionally and unintentionally built over the years. Intentionally in terms of like just following strategies that I've learned, but unintentionally in terms of like self-protection. And one of those kind of things was the application process. And so for the past 5 years, in order to join the Web Designer Academy, the very first step is to fill out an application telling us more about you, about your business. And then I would review your application, review your goals and your website and everything, and just like do a double check and make sure, yes, your business is in the right place for you to successfully apply our strategies. And there were lots of reasons for that. One, I don't want you to join a program that's not right for you. But two, it's also, we care a lot about our community. And it always felt like a way to create safety within the community for people to be very vulnerable. When it's like, I've vetted every person that's in the room in terms of like, no one's too new or too advanced. A lot of people think like, I'm going to ask a dumb question and feel stupid, and then they won't like be fully accepted. Or there's just a like, will I be fully accepted by this community? And so when I can like, I don't know, it's a weird thing. I just know. I don't know how to describe it any other way. I just know based on the words people, it's not about like what their website looks like or anything like that. It's about what they say in that application, that I know if they are going to be not even successful in our program, but I look at that and I'm like, in 6 months, they are going to be like the kindest person to the version of them that comes in 6 months after them. I don't know how I know, but that's kind of like the thing that I'm looking for inadvertently. And it was scary to get rid of that. But also, I was like, I trust myself to say the right words in our messaging to help people understand if this is the right place for them or not. I don't need to be the one at the gate checking to see if you're, checking you out to see if you can come in. So we took the application away.
Yeah, and I know that was a big scary move. And I think, you just said it, like it really does come down to like just trusting yourself, just trusting like you and who you are and the people that you attract. Very rarely do we get people that would not be like a personality fit, right? Like just because of the nature of like you just attract amazing people. And I think there's also a piece in there of like, and maybe this kind of goes back to your domino, I don't know. But I think maybe there's even a piece about like, if there was a person that was let in that, I don't know, caused disruption, was unkind, didn't really follow sort of our social guidelines and norms that we sort of have in place, trusting yourself that you would be able to tell them either like, this is how we do things, and or like, you gotta go.
I coach people on holding boundaries all day, every day. I also teach them how to create structure that makes it easier for them to hold boundaries. I think the application has served its purpose in terms of creating safety for me to hold boundaries. And
Mhm.
now I feel like I absolutely could trust myself to hold a boundary, but I can't even imagine, and I can't imagine a world in which someone comes in and
Yeah,
just
I
is
agree.
like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what that would even look like. And so we kept the same like form on our website with the same questions as a tool for people to use to ask, instead of it like, you have to fill this out to come in the door. It's like, here's who we're a great fit for. And if you're not at this place in your business yet, we're not the right fit for you yet. But if all of this sounds like you and you're still like, I don't know, I'm scared, then fill out this form and I will review everything and I'll tell you, like, hey, based on what you said, I think you'd be a great fit. Or based on what you said, I actually think that you wouldn't be a great fit, not because your personality sucks or whatever, but because I wouldn't want someone to come in who's not ready to come in.
Mhm.
And so that worked out actually really great. Normally, I'd be like, fill out the application to even come to the training where I'm talking to you about our strategies. This time, open door. I think we had over 250 people register to attend that training, which normally I'm only talking to, I don't know, 40 or 50 accepted applicants at that training. And then we had basically the exact same number of people join. So we had 6 people join our program, 250 registered. I don't remember how many attended live. And then ultimately, 6 people ended up joining. And that's the same number of people that would join if I had personally reviewed 40 applications, which that's pretty time intensive with all of the other things. And so I'm like, that was a win. So if you look at it like the conversion percentage of number of attendees is lower, but the outcome's the same. And I had more time to do other things. I'm like, what a huge win. We called in the most amazing people. Like, they're
Mhm.
incredible. So that was a win. But I also totally had a moment because almost all of them came in on the final day. And so I was just like, oh, I think this experiment, I don't think this worked. Like, I had severe doubt. And I kind of think back on it. I'm like, I had no concept of who was interested because I didn't have the applications to give me any sense of who was there or what their business was like. So it was almost like I didn't have my map or something.
Mhm.
And I felt a
Yeah.
little unmoored. And for a short period of time, my mind went where it always goes. It's all going to fall apart. Nothing's going to work. This is the end. This is it. This is the time. No one's going to join. And then Erica wisely counseled me. So I appreciate that. And you can share your perspective on that. But then I woke up the next day to like 5 people, 5 more people. And I was like, okay, I panicked too soon. Like, stay the course, see it through. But it was interesting. So yeah, I'm curious to hear your side of the story.
Yeah. It's funny because I definitely have moments like I go back and forth. And so I was also thinking like about taking away the application, how that means, oh, you can't really follow up with anyone
Nope.
because you don't have their name in the first place.
I could follow up with all 250.
Sure, sure, you could. But I was just thinking about how that added kind of another level of like uncertainty
Mm-hmm.
almost. And yeah, I get in my head when things happen like that as well. Like I care about this company and this community and you, and I love this job. And so, all of that really matters to me. And yeah, so I am a Christian And so I have to lean into my faith really hard whenever things like that happen, in moments where I'm like, I don't know, like, is this it? Like, have we, like, it's been a good run and like that's just the end? Truly, though, deep down, that's not, like, I'm like, I know that's not true, but there's a sort of that surface level anxiety that like kind of sticks around
Yeah.
whenever that happens. And so, yeah, on that day, you were like, yeah, full transparency. Like, I don't know, like, like we're gonna see. And I was just like, well, and I told Shannon this for years. Like, I pray for Shannon and I and this community, and like all of our students every day. That is just part of my routine. And it's just really important to me. I want to make sure that like I am doing what I need to do in order to serve this community really well. And so I pray for wisdom and counsel and just God's guidance and all of that stuff. And yeah, in that moment, you were kind of just like in that state. I was feeling like in that state. And I told Shannon, I don't want to make this weird, but do you mind if I pray? And she was like, oh my gosh, yes. And what I need you to know is that I don't do that. I don't just do that. I don't ask people. And like, maybe I should do that more often. And so my heart was pounding so hard. My heart was pounding so hard. I was like so nervous, but I felt so strongly that like, I don't know, that was just going to like bring us back down. And I fully believe that God hears my prayers and he answers those prayers. And like, I don't believe like he's a genie that I can just like ask him for like new students and we'll get new students. But I fully believe that he heard my prayers and heard our desperation and provided for that. And so, yeah, I just appreciate that you were like, yeah, that's not weird at all, because it might have been a little weird.
Well, I mean, you and I have talked about this, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but like, I wasn't raised with any kind of religion. My family didn't go to church. I guess that's what you call like secular. So I don't have a lot of experience in it, but I have a lot of respect for people that do. Like, my husband goes to church. Well, his family does. And so, like, I just can't see a world in which I'd be like, no, you can't do that. Like, I have respect for it, even if it's not my practice. And so, why wouldn't I be okay with whatever tools you use, your faith being one of those, to allow you to express whatever you needed to express and support me with that? So that's just my take on it. And I so appreciated it because it helped me shift out of the vibe that I was feeling, which was awesome because we were doing an open house
Mm-hmm.
later that day. So one of the things that I realized is like, okay, what I'm missing from the application process is a conversation with people who are interested. How can I create a very low pressure way to have a conversation with people who are interested, and just like call them a little bit forward and a little bit forward, and like, let me help you make this decision one way or another. And then we came up with, I came up with like, oh, by the way, I'm doing an open house. By the way, everybody, like, I'm inviting anybody who wants to come to our live strategy call to come. They have to fill out the application. Quote, it's not an application. They have to fill out this form, and I have to make sure that they're qualified to attend. And I need to explicitly invite them and give them the link, because I do care so much about that community, keeping it safe, that I'm not just going to allow anyone to come off the street and be in the room where people are talking about like vulnerable business stuff, like what we talk about in there. So I don't know how many people came,
I think
but I think
two.
we had two people
Mm-hmm.
come, and then they ended up joining. And then we had like 2 more join overnight that like didn't come to the open house. But I was just like, oh, okay. I feel like now I have all of the pieces. And now I'm doing like I'm letting people come to our live strategy calls if they fill out that form and qualify like every week. So we're hosting this open house every week, and we actually have another person coming. It's today's Tuesday when we're recording this. We have another person coming to our open house today. So it's an opportunity for people to like really take a step in and see what it's really like on the inside before committing. And I think that that was like a really cool thing that kind of came out of the quiet and the uncertainty, and that actually who is interested in all of this is like, oh, I love this idea. It's so much fun. It's so cool to like introduce them to all the incredible people that are in there while they're considering it. So much better than an application with the training and all of this like one-on-one stuff. They get to experience the community. I love that part. And I just think it's really fun. So it's like, I'm so glad that it happened that way, because I don't know that that would have ever occurred to me to just make it easy. Oh, just invite people to the thing you're already doing every week anyway, and let them see for themselves if this is what they want to do or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a thing. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to do that, you can go to the Web Designer Academy program page on our website, and you can fill out the form and come to our next open house. So that was really cool. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was like, I had this wavering moment of being like, people don't want to commit to stuff right now. So should I just make the Web Designer Academy month to month instead of a 1-year program? And I had like talked myself into this. I'm like, yeah, everything's uncertain right now. Nobody knows what the world's going to look like in 12 months. I think the pandemic shook all of us and we can't predict the future. And therefore, that's why people aren't saying yes to the Web Designer Academy, because they're afraid to commit to something in the future because they don't know what the future is going to look like. And I think I had you enrolled in this idea.
Yeah.
I think I had Lee, our conversion rate person, enrolled in this idea. And then I was talking to Alicia St. Germain, who is my business and mindset coach. And she was just like, absolutely not. Don't stay. Like, the whole point is to stand for people to create the commitment to the vision of what they really want. And I was like, oh, she's right. Like, by me getting enrolled in their uncertainty, or like co-signing everyone's uncertainty, is me being like, oh, yep, just dip out whenever it gets uncomfortable, instead of, oh, you're here. Like, let's actually spend time for a whole year of the life cycle of your business where something weird's going to happen with the economy, something weird's going to happen with the world, something weird's going to happen with your life. And things are also going to go really well. And let's learn how to run a business around all of that, instead of just being like, oh, I'm scared I'm leaving because it's a monthly membership. So,
so good. That like gave me chills. I love the way that you said that you signed. How did you say it? You signed on with everybody else's uncertainty.
I'm not going to co-sign with everybody else's uncertainty.
Yeah, like that's such a good way to say it, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in like, oh my gosh, my social media feed, some days I like just have to put it down because it is just drenched in like
the sky is falling.
The sky is falling. And I'm like, I cannot.
But not today, but tomorrow it's not falling anymore, but now it's falling again.
Exactly. And it's so easy to find yourself so wrapped up into that and to like believe every single word you hear because it sounds really solid. It sounds like really good information. And again, and I will like shout this from the rooftops, I think that's why it's so, so, so important to have a community of people around you who will call that out, because otherwise you get just so lost in it.
Yeah, we actually had a conversation on our global live strategy call this morning. So we do a 7 a.m. Eastern call for people who are in the UK and Australia. So it's like waking hours for them. We had such a good call this morning about just this same thing about like, I think the question ultimately ended up being, should I just quit my business and go be a dog walker? But my take on this is that there will always be some flavor of some uncertainty going on. And like, we think that we can, when like things look predictable and certain, that somehow we're in control of it and that it couldn't all just change on a dime tomorrow. Like it always
Mhm.
could, whether whatever is happening now was going on or not, it could always change in an instant tomorrow. And so it's all about building certainty with yourself, trusting yourself, building resilience, deciding where you want to pay your attention. That was the thing that I was talking about this morning. I'm like, we all know how the internet works, right? And I'm like, our attention is monetized, whether it's being monetized with positive information or negative information. And where do I want to pay with my attention? I don't want to pay scrolling a news site, scrolling past every ad that's being like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching every time I'm just like locked in on whatever doom and gloom news is going on. I used to doom scroll back with COVID and I had to be like, oh, wait, somebody's making money off my doom scrolling. And that's where I'm just like, I don't want to contribute to this. I want to have a healthy amount of knowledge of what's happening in the world, but not to the point where I'm paralyzed. It's crippling. It's taking me away from my contribution and what I'm here to create. And so that's a decision that we make. And I feel like my no good, very bad year helped me create the resilience to be able to help our students through what's going on now with how they're feeling about their business, how their clients are feeling about moving forward with projects and all of this stuff. And like really just helping us cultivate, like, you never could control what was going on in the world. Now you're just being seen that you like being shown that you can't control it, like in your face 24/7.
Yeah.
And that's happened to us before and it's happening again. You can control how you think about it, how you behave, how you respond to it, where you put your time and attention. And I'm going to put my time and attention into my vision, goals, and future all day long and not let it leak out into doom scrolling. And the cynic in me goes even further to line other people's pockets with my attention that they're making money off of literally with
Yeah.
every ad impression that we scroll past or swipe past. And so that's where I'm at. And I said it way more eloquently this morning because I had a lot of coffee, but we have to put ourselves in spaces that lift us up and
Yeah.
help us stay focused on our vision and navigate the obstacles. And what's happening right now is an obstacle. It's not like that it doesn't exist. It's like, who do I need to become and what do I need to learn to navigate this obstacle? And this obstacle might be clients are making longer decisions. People are afraid and not saying yes. Who do I need to become to navigate those obstacles and still build the life that I want? And that's what building resilience is all about. And that's why I'm like, it has to be a 1 year program because if everybody was dipping out and giving up on their dreams, and I was just like, yeah, cool, go ahead. I don't believe that you could do it either. How about you just leave? It's like, no, I believe that you can do it,
Hmm.
but maybe we need to pivot or change or do something. So we
No,
decided to
that's
keep it a 1 year program because of all of that. So go ahead.
and that's so good. And it brings to mind like the whole like teach a man to fish thing. I think the most valuable thing we can do is teach people how to continue to stay the course when everyone else is saying the sky is falling. Like, how do you continue to reach out to people and make connections and market and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the things that we need to do in order to run a business? I think that's just literally the most valuable thing that we could do for them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to take that skill. Like, once they decide to graduate from Web Designer Academy or Next Level or whatever, they're going to be able to take that skill with them and continue to build it in whatever season of life they are going to be in, if it feels like the sky is falling in a political way or in a personal way or whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah. I just think about, you could just like quit or be like, nobody's buying anything right now, so I'm just going to do nothing also. And then when inevitably the tide turns, because eventually it always has. And then you're that much farther behind. And we can never control what another human does, whether there's political turmoil or financial turmoil, or it doesn't matter. We can never control what another human does, but we can always control what we do. And I just feel like there's like, why would you give up on your dream because of what other people say is happening in the world? I'm like, tell me I can't do it and watch me. Like, that's just like, I'm like, get out of my way. Not that I'm like, I don't believe this is happening. Of course it's happening. But I'm like, I believe there's a way through and not just waiting for it to change.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be just like this brick wall.
Yeah.
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 I love it.
Like, put a brick wall in front of me. See what happens.
Like Wile E. Coyote shaped hole, the Shannon shaped hole,
Kool-Aid Man shaped hole. Yeah. So we made that decision. And then I was like, I think WGA Rebrand had a big month in April, but I don't know because the time is weird. We're recording this on April 15th. And I've already I'll talk more about that in my April income report, the impact that the new brand has had. But did we roll out the rebrand in March to the WDA fam?
I actually think it was like, I think you and I finished on like the last day of March. And maybe we announced it like April 1st. I can't remember, but it was close.
In addition to a summit and open enrollment for the Web Designer Academy.
We've been busy.
We also are doing a brand refresh of the Web Designer Academy. We're rebranding in public. So one of the things that I didn't want to do is like hold everything back and then flip a switch and then launch this whole new thing. I'm just like, that sounds horrible. Let's roll it out piece by piece. Maybe by the time you're listening to this podcast, the cover art on this podcast is different. Maybe you've seen a presentation of mine with new branding. Maybe a landing page or a sales page has had updated branding. So we're really like rolling it out in pieces. But what did we like finish in March? Like, what was the finishing touches?
In March, it was like we had the full brand kit was complete. So
logos, fonts, colors.
Yeah.
Was March when you had to help me learn how to communicate what I meant? So this kind of ties this episode back full circle, because in learning that it's safe to give feedback, I start becoming less emotionally, or not emotionally, like my nervous system was less triggered to give feedback. And then I was able to start to feel safe to say, this doesn't vibe with me. This feels too scary. This feels too playful. This feels whatever. But because I am so behind on learning to use my feedback words, we had a translation problem because I'm like, And I think I used like the Princess Bride meme. Like, I do not think it means what you think it means. Like, I'm saying things that Erica's translating into designs. And she's like, Shannon, I don't think that word means like what you think it means. And I'm like, probably not. This is a problem my husband and I also have where I try to like verbally describe something visually. And he's just like, I don't understand what you're saying. So it's absolutely a me problem. I'm not a visual person. But I think that that was like almost the big thing that happened in March, like for the rebrand, is like getting really dialed in on like Shannon says this and she means this.
Yeah, it was. And I don't want you to feel like that is like just a you thing. Like there are clients who just don't like that's part of the reason why they come to me because they're like, I'm not a visual person, like I'm not a design person. I can't do this on my own. And so it does require a little bit more visual support. And that's totally okay. Or communication support or whatever, like the goal is to handle that in a way that doesn't make the other person feel like they've done something wrong or stupid or whatever other problems they want to tie to that because it's not a problem. It's just part of the process. And so, yeah, March did have some of the like, let's continue to refine our communication and continue to like step our way through. Cause that is one of the things I didn't necessarily say this to you, but one of the things that I decided like pretty quickly after that like initial round of feedback, when I sent you a form to get like, okay, we just need to like, I just need to understand how you describe things that you see. And so I had you like fill out this form. And I say fill out this form. I use that term lightly because it was just like multiple choice and like you could type if you wanted. And it was fascinating to see like some of the ways that you like I will forever laugh. There was this font and you were like, it looks like it plays football. Like it's gonna tackle you. And I don't remember what it was called. But I was like, I could absolutely see that. So it was really, really valuable to like take you through that process because then I was like, okay, like I get it now. Like I could see what she's seeing. And then what I decided after that was like, okay, I'm going to take this much more slowly and much more visually. Like rather than saying, okay, we can do this or this, I'm going to say, okay, I want you to look at this or this and then choose between the two or give me feedback so that we can go in a different direction. And I think that was the thing that ended up allowing us to move the way that we did and complete the brand by the end of May. I mean, I keep saying May, by the end of March, so that we could move right into our design support in April, which obviously we'll talk about in the April podcast. But I think that's where you're really seeing like the transformation happening. So that's exciting.
I so appreciate the whole additional visual support. And I think that it's really the way you approach that helped me understand something about some of the challenges our Web Designer Academy students have with like pricing and services. And I know that that might sound weird, but the way that you approached how to lead me through this branding project, and you're like, it's very like one of our favorite things to say at the Web Designer Academy, the sky is blue. The sky is blue that some people require additional visual support.
Yeah.
And that you gave me that label instead of difficult client is like, oh my goodness, but I can see a world in which someone that I could have, like, that's my worst fear, right? Is being labeled a difficult client. But I could see where that situation, without the tools that you had to lead me through that, could leave the person in your position feeling really overwhelmed, or like they're not doing a good job. Like maybe they're not good at what they're doing because they're not like hitting the mark. And it wasn't that you weren't hitting the mark. It's like I understood that like the words I'm saying aren't translating. And so was coaching someone this morning where she's like, I really love doing branding, but I hate doing it with clients. And I'm like, oh, you're probably missing a process that allows you to work through feedback with the client in a way that makes you feel really safe as the designer to receive the feedback because you're guiding that person through a feedback process that's helping them translate what they're thinking and feeling into words or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like people undercharge, over deliver, and it truly could be you just need a tool to help you navigate this situation with clients, and you don't have to not offer branding, or if I charge more for that, they're going to want even more, and this process is already difficult. So,
yeah,
super, super valuable.
Yeah. And like going back to the next level domino. So my next level domino is making decisions without having all of the information. So I am a person who I just like to have all of the information. Sometimes this is a really, really valuable skill and like need. Sometimes, a lot of times, it really holds me back. In this specific situation, though, it's one of those things that allows me to work better with clients because I am able to think ahead in terms of like, I can foresee that these might be some of the problems that pop up. And so I'm able to create a process for when that happens, we're going to do X, Y, Z. And yes, I do that for clients, but I do that for myself because I need to be able to have that process to know if they come back and they have feedback for me, I need to feel safe because I put my heart and soul in those designs. And so I need to feel like, okay, it hasn't, like nothing's wrong with me personally. And I know that that's not what the clients mean, right? But like, that's just kind of like a gut reaction. But when I'm able to say, okay, no, if they come back like that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have these steps. We have this tool. We're going to go through this specific process. It makes it so much easier and so much more the sky is blue because it's just like, okay, that's cool. Here are the next steps that we're going to go through. And then it like really just removes a lot of the tension from that entire process. And I don't have to spend as much mental energy on why I wasn't good enough.
Right, exactly. Oh my gosh. So good. So I think that kind of brings this conversation full circle. And I am going to plant a little bit of a seed here because Erica is going to be teaching that process inside of the Web Designer Academy.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be another tool that's going to make projects go faster and give you more confidence. And all of that like just supports you charging profitably and sustainably for what you're doing. So if that's something that you're like, I think I might want that, then check out our program. We're always open for enrollment. You can come to an open house. You can meet both of us, meet our students, and decide if you want an amazing community around you for an entire year life cycle of your business to help you just create the business and life that you really want. I'm always striving for not more but more impact and everything, but also I live my dream life every single day. I truly do. And I want that for everybody else. So, there's always something I'm working on, but if it all stopped, I'm just like, look around, like this is amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Come join us.
So good. All right. Well, that's it for our March 2025 income report. Thank you all so much for listening. And we'll see you back here next week.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.